Possibly. 3, 2, 1, go. A police scanner.
Yes.
On the Ring app? So I have one neighbor. I know he's involved with the cops.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, he's not actually a cop.
Right.
But he does something with the police department. I'd be shocked if he doesn't have a police scanner. So
I'm just saying, if somebody hadn't copped to owning one at this point, you should be that guy, and you should just phone in.
I have a police scanner? Yeah.
And you should just phone in, hot off the scanner.
Fucking 3 bodies at the top of Old Farm Hill. You know, get your cars out of the cul-de-sac now, boys. Otherwise, you ain't going anywhere for a couple days. So, actually, we did have a manhunt going on here in town the last couple days. Did you see that shit?
What was the situation?
So there was a lady right over here, maybe like just on these apartments up the hill up here. I think behind the Whole Foods or somewhere near there.
Okay.
Or the Sprouts up
yeah.
Who killed 2 of her kids and wounded a third.
For what?
I don't know. And so it was just all over the Twitter. And so like I have like local news on my Twitter to break up the
I get it, but I mean it is
it's
really
not even a fire hose, man. It's kind of a swamp. It just kind of comes out of the ground.
It is fucking mosquitoes growing it. Yeah, they hatch from there. So, if it's running water, yeah. If it's running water, they don't fucking spawn, man. Yeah,
gators in here, man. Yeah. So, but anyway, and then apparently today they picked her up in England. So.
That's how you do it. That's how you
no,
get
you don't.
out.
You don't go to an English-speaking country, man.
Yeah, but what if you don't? Yeah. All right.
I don't know. I mean, Mexico is a hell of a lot closer. So, whatever. So they got her, and so that'll be kick off to 2024, the trial of Colorado Springs this year. Yeah.
Jesus, no, I didn't.
Yeah, I know, man. That was weird. It was like really close to my house too. I was like, oh, that sucks. So. The big city came and found me, Jeff.
Yeah, it kind of splits the difference between you and I.
Yeah, it's pretty damn close. It's probably equidistant. Yeah.
Well, okay, so...
Actually, no, I think they were up on Stetson. It was up on Stetson over by the Wendy's or something over there.
That's still...
It's pretty damn close,
It's still pretty, that's almost still split between us, because you have to go a little bit
close,
out that way, and straight versus...
Right, yeah.
You got to take a little curvy curves to get where you are.
Yeah, my whole neighborhood is nothing but curvy curves.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
Curvy curves and dead ends. So,
yeah,
which is why I like it. So
keeps the riffraff out.
It kind of does, man. So someone told me that a long time ago that people don't like stealing cars on cul-de-sacs and shit like that. So
I believe it.
Yeah, literally, there's like 2 ways out of my neighborhood. One of them is pretty direct access to where the police are. So
right.
Yeah.
So, that is true. And we are both very close to a police station. So.
Very close, yeah. But
yeah, that's always. I remember hearing some guys talk about this because it was they were talking about something that they saw on one of their. So now I've done a bunch of like crime shows too. These are the new hotness that I get. Okay. Did an interview with a person that was friends with the daughter of Dennis Rader's kid, if you know that. It's the BTK killer.
okay.
But I've been doing a lot more like crime shows, and there's this one. I remember these guys talking about it. They were like, "All right, so I was watching this one, and they arranged for it was a sting, of course, right?" But they arranged for a hit. No, actually, it wasn't a sting that got caught. And the hit was like, they were doing it for like $8,000, right? Okay. But the concerning thing was they had that discussion in the parking lot of the Walmart that the guy went to. And he's like, does having that in the place where I go, like, bring that close to home? Where you're like, it's like, shit, do I live in a bad neighborhood or something? It's like, no, you don't. It's just they got to pick somewhere. Somebody's got to die. This is like, so if that happened in that Sprouts parking lot,
Sure, yeah.
Does it feel like it's finally like right at your doorstep?
I guess, man, but
I don't know. It's kind of weird to
it
take.
still feels like a one-off, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it still feels like a one-off. I mean, so yeah, we wrapped up 2023 with a whole slew of murders because they had all those
There
people.
was another one, yeah.
Yeah, then that house way up by Will's place. So
Yeah.
yeah. Well, actually, it's further out. I think that was in Peyton. So
I saw I saw an SUV tumble over on like 5 guys.
oh yeah, I saw that on Twitter too.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like way to go, Colorado Springs.
I was like, oh, we made the news.
We did make the news
Always
on
for
that
something
one.
like this.
Yeah, I watched a couple of those guys get rolling pinned out.
Those
those guys are done. Yeah. So, yeah.
That does not seem like something you'd be subscribed to, but I guess you are.
Dude, it's fucking Twitter and the For You tab, you know?
Okay.
Which I don't know if mine defaults to that from time to time or if I just click it over there without thinking about it.
I don't know. Or maybe you like it. Maybe it's
I'm not a fan of it because it keeps suggesting people that go by pseudonyms, and I refuse to follow assholes like that. So, you know, like if you're not going to put your name out there, man, I'm not going to follow you. So I need to be able to Google you. So to see if you're legit. So, but yeah, on the For You tab, it's like, oh, you should really subscribe to Cat Turd. I'm like, I don't know who that is. So I'm not gonna. Now, I think Lip from TikTok did actually, that lady did get outed, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But I still don't follow that one either because, like, it's just like, really? Come on, man. So 2024 is going to have enough shit going on in it. I don't need to follow people who stir shit up that much. So, I mean, you do it, but it's a hobby.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, see, I like to try and follow people who are smarter than me, man. So, because otherwise it just gets my blood up.
Hey man, you got to follow the rules. It's like you're basically engagement farming. You're gonna hang out there.
That's exactly
right?
what you're doing. Yeah.
You only engage if the account is worth engaging with. If it is low follower, don't fuck around with it because this person has no humility. They don't care.
No, they don't care.
You can roast their ass 25 times in a row, but then what they're gonna do is they're going to outlast you. Right?
Right, yeah.
And they're going to keep bothering you right, until you block them. And then when you block them, the next thing they're going to say is like, oh, loser, block me. What, are you scared?
Yeah, right, but nobody's going to see it then. Or you're not going to see it.
You're not going to see it, but everybody else will.
Yeah, that's
right.
Fine.
Well, no, it's...
Oh, I see what it does. It actually, like, your followers would see that in a thread.
Right.
Got it.
And you just, that's the thing is if you see like a little follower, it's like, I don't engage with you. You're beneath me. Right?
Oh, right.
I don't mean this in a like...
Twitter is not an egalitarian space.
Well,
I get that.
I mean like, merchant class.
Oh, yeah. Like, you're not even a farmer yet.
Right. No, it's not that shit. It's just like you're a troublemaker account, and I'm not gonna waste my time with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So some of the bigger guys that I follow on YouTube, I see them do that too. So
they don't do it. They don't fuck around
they
only if somebody swings at them with commensurate.
You got to have an army behind you.
You don't.
Yeah. So now I was watching 2 of my guys fight last week.
Who was fighting?
Fun. Who was it? It was Aaron Mate, who I follow, just to get kind of like a dipstick on that crazy left piece.
Sure.
So him and his buddy Max Blumenthal are my go-to.
Oh, yeah.
Complete fucking Gaza shells right now. So
yeah,
they're pretty far out there. But he got into it with this other guy, this black kid that I watch. His name is Coleman Hughes. He's fantastic.
I don't know Coleman Hughes.
He's good, man. He's been around for a few years. I've been watching his podcast for a couple of years. So he's kind of... people would accuse him of being conservative, but he's not. So he's a normie.
Right.
He's like one of my more normie guys that I watch. So
he's the guy. My favorite dudes on Twitter. When it comes to actually, like when you said like I'd like to follow guys that are smart, right? The guys that are smart, I love the every now and then when somebody comes at them with basically like a partisan thing and accuses them of that, and they say like, what are you talking about? It's like, flat tax is the dumbest idea I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, I thought you were one of them. It's like, what do you mean one of them?
Go
It's
read my
like,
shit that doesn't involve your handle. You know?
asshole. It's like, that guy has a good idea. That guy has a good idea.
Yeah.
It's like, just because I align with this doesn't mean I think everything they do is good.
Yeah, there's quite a few. Well, I wouldn't say there's a lot, but I've got like a core group of guys who are kind of like that. And so when they speak up, I usually pay attention. So, and I don't agree with them all the time either. So,
No.
you know, but
No.
you know, I mean, I have seen them a couple of times. They're like, yeah, I got that wrong. So it's like, good for you, man. So thanks for letting us know.
Yeah, and what's funny is, like, what I've been noticing here, like, you were talking about, like, the Palestine shills, and you're absolutely right, but there is what I have started to notice is there is I don't even, it's not even necessarily just a far-right thing. There's a leftist component of this, too, but there are some anti-Israel guys on the right, and...
Are they actual Nazis?
Well, they keep talking out the ubiquitous they, and oftentimes they have like 3 parentheses around they, right?
What does that mean?
Jews.
Oh, okay.
Right. So
they are Nazis.
I guess they'd have to be.
Well, just because you take the patches off a uniform doesn't mean that it's not the same uniform. You know? So...
okay.
You don't have to put all the pins and buttons on it for us to know.
Okay, so I mean, like if you'd taken the patches off, right? And like you took like the fucking skull off the hat, but then you took all those and then put like a Ghostbuster sign on the back. Would that have not sat?
I know who you are. Yeah. I see you.
It would be a very interesting show if they only busted a specific kind of ghost, where it's like, no, I don't
It's
want
a
you.
gay ghost.
Yeah, I don't want your kind to get any rest in the afterlife.
I don't know, man. There's not too many far right guys on Twitter I can really follow.
Well, it gets.
It's so like, yeah, there's like this cut line between you're like, okay, legit right, and then weird right, and
And usually it's when they come into it. Yeah,
it's not even that, man. When you start getting I don't know, the super Christian nationalist guys.
Agreed. Yeah. Like, I'll give you an example. Right. Okay. This must have crossed your radar. This was the thing where it's like, yeah, of course it's always going to be divisive. Remember, there was that story about those fucking dweebs, those Satanist dweebs that put up that little like skull-headed thing in like an Illinois like courthouse.
Oh yeah.
And some dude went out there and like knocked the head off, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like when this all happened, you saw that cadre of fucking people that were like, well, guys, this place was founded as a Christian nation. I'm like, dickhead.
Right, yeah.
Like, no.
It's not technically a religion because it doesn't believe in religion. It's not protected by the First Amendment. I was like, yeah, okay, you lost me there on that one.
Exactly. It's like, guys, no, the argument is it all goes or it all stays.
Yeah.
Right? That's how this works.
You see a lot of gun guys over there, too. There are elements of gun Twitter that I run into from time to time.
There is true, but there are. What's weird is there are some gun leftists.
It's
rare.
Yeah, I don't know,
but
man.
There are some.
My exposure to GunTube, I can kind of suss those guys out pretty quick. So I don't know.
What do you mean? Okay, what are you talking about sussing out?
Well, there's gun guys who just are enthusiasts and like guns. Okay?
Yes.
And some of those are the best channels on YouTube. They're just fun to watch. And then there's other ones where everything has this political tint to it. So, you know, you kind of get used to it if you watch nothing but that. But then you actually go out in sunlight, it's like, oh wow. You know?
But they're not overt about it. They're not like, well, let's say your ATF guy is coming over that hill.
They kind of do that, in some respects, you know.
It's usually not that overt, but...
No, it's not that overt. I saw a great ad the other day that it was supposed to be a gun store, but it was like completely redone as a sandwich shop. So, have you seen that one?
No.
Okay, so those guys are the guys who are definitely on that political tint kind of thing.
Is it tongue-in-cheek funny, or is it actually funny?
I think it's both. Yeah. So, yeah, but It's like, you know, and at the very end, it's like not actually a sandwich shop. You know,
Well, clearly.
yeah, okay, but you know, it was all designed because, of course, GunTube gets nerfed hard. So, you know, if you show guns in any video, your view count, I mean, your exposure goes way down.
Yeah,
So
there are some guys who have views through the
that's
fucking
they get them
roof.
from their subscribers. So yeah,
But I mean, do their subscribers cross pollinate with other
oh,
subscribers?
of course
'Cause
they
I was
do.
going to say, like,
Yeah,
how do they get
of course
exposure
they
then?
do.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I don't know how the algorithm works on that,
All right.
but I know like certain things that you do on YouTube with guns are a huge no-no. So like you can't do not handle a gun on a live stream. You're done. So,
Oh yeah,
your
yeah,
shit's
that's
cooked.
true. That's true.
They don't like it when you show how to load guns. So a lot of guys will do gun tube. They'll start it with their gun already loaded. So
I didn't.
yeah, there's a bunch of weird, stupid ass rules around it and stuff like that. I dove into it a while ago.
Did you?
Well, yeah, and I've seen people put videos out on it too. Yeah, I like the how to do YouTube guys that I followed. It's just like just don't do guns. So it's too complicated. So, you know,
Well, it sounds like either you do it because that's specifically because you
Yep.
want to do it, and
Yep.
views be damned.
yep,
Right.
yeah.
But basically, it would be like, what would be the analogy? What would be a business that you open in the real life only because you want to do it, but not because you're expecting to make a profit?
Oh, any restaurant.
So okay, yeah.
If you want to make a profit, you open a food truck.
right, okay. So yeah, if you're like
Any sports bar. Yeah. This is a hobby, brother.
so I feel like, well, I want to expose my abuela's tamales to,
I've had
society.
students over the years. Yeah. It's like my mama makes the best Peruvian tamales. It's like, that's great. Why don't you just bring some over? You know, so you're gonna turn it into a restaurant? I can't help you, man. So
I feel like you could go one of two ways with that. I feel like you could do a truck, or the other thing, I feel like you could do a pretty good job catering.
that's what I tell everybody who's got that
Yeah.
idea. I was like, try a truck first. So you're gonna spend, $50,000 to stand up a good truck, as opposed to $1 million to stand up a restaurant that's probably gonna go Tango uniform because you've never spent time in an actual commercial kitchen. And so, I mean, you'll meet professional chefs who won't even open a fucking restaurant. So,
Yeah, because I don't imagine many of the people that come to you are like, look, I've worked in 4 restaurants
Oh, right, yeah.
for 30 years,
Yeah.
right?
In fact, a couple of the guys, I've had 2 people who opened restaurants over the years. Some of them were fairly successful, and both of them have gone out of business. So
That
yeah.
sucks.
Well, yeah, it does, but it's a hard business, man,
Yeah.
and it's very thin margin. So I mean, that's literally counting how many onions you're putting on a fucking burger. So so it's not an easy way to make money.
Dude, even Taco Bell has to ask you how many sauces you want, man.
Correct. Yeah. So yeah, but GunTube is hard. So
Look, I watched something on there the other day. It's unfortunate. I mean, actually, I shouldn't say that. I kind of like it, and I know you do too. Like just the hardware aspect of it.
Sure.
Like, so I watched this breakdown of, look, here's the data, here's like the testing. So if you want to, it was all about choosing an all around weapon for self defense of your
Sure.
home. Right?
oh my god, there's a million videos on that.
And,
Yeah.
and when they crunched the math of it and they said, all right, so it was these times this by this table, and it was basically like, these things are the fringes.
Were they like S and A tiering them and stuff like that?
It wasn't, no,
Okay.
no, what they were doing was they were trying to find a sweet spot,
Right. Okay.
right? Of this is the range of things that are based on the military and these like statistics. These things will all do you fine. You have a range of things in here.
Okay.
Where if anybody tells you that, oh, this is the superior gun at the superior caliber, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, these all roughly do the same. You can feel confident with all of these
Yeah. Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
It's like, so it's these things plus any kind of shotgun will do you great.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the only time you'll run into it is if you use like this caliber. But even then, that's really not that much of a problem. It's just like that kind of, because it's Or like, okay, well, this is interesting. This is like data stuff. And then there's, of course, the videos where it's like, oh, well, this guy's going to shoot something I've never seen before. Or I like it when guys go out there and say, like, well, I'm going to shoot this because people told me to. And it's like, I don't like this at all. Or, wow, this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
I've seen a few guys like that over the years. I don't know, man. There's just so many guys. It's hard to wade through and find people who are going to be straight up with you on some of those things. So, like, and there's this one channel that I did follow for a while. It's actually a local gun store over here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was kind of neat because you go in there and you'd see the guys and you're like, oh, okay, I know you guys. You know,
that's cool, yeah.
It was kind of cool, but then, you know, they had that political tint after a little while. Where it's like, don't tell me that, you know, it's unconstitutional to register my guns. Come on, man. So, if we have to, attach that adjective, unconstitutional, to, like, you know, it's just like, come on, guys. Knock it off. See, there was a big rally at a gun store here yesterday. Did you see that?
No.
Mike Lindell, the Pillow Man himself, came out to it.
What was the occasion?
Some dude out east is running for Congress, and so he organized a pro-gun rally or something. And apparently there was a convoy, a Trump convoy.
Really?
Going from Fort Collins to here yesterday, but I didn't hear any news about it. So
no. Yeah, not a thing.
The only thing that I heard was, like, you know, they had asked, like, if the state patrol would, like, you know, block off traffic, and they're like, no, it's the interstate. You can drive it like everybody else.
Why would they, man?
Exactly. Why would they? Yeah.
No, the one real piece of quote unquote local news, because it's not local to this area, is is our favorite Lauren Boebert.
Oh, yeah.
Where she's changing her district.
Yeah, because she's going to lose that Aspen loafer wearing Democrat. Yeah. So, because she only beat him by a couple hundred votes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently everybody on the Western Slope hates her fucking guts now. So, even her own town tried to run her out. The only place that would vote for her would probably be Pueblo. So, which... I don't know, man. My experience with Pueblo, it's a red baseball with a thin coat of blue paint over it now.
Well, mean, you know, it's wacky. I mean, this is the things that our state has made famous recently are kind of, I don't know.
Well, I can only think of the one. What else did we do?
Well, you're talking about the Supreme Court should, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
I did go back and read the Michigan one, though, so they're probably going to use it. The only thing that's interesting about the Colorado one is that when they sent that up, they actually used some of Neil Gorsuch's arguments in it, where he upheld a ruling. He was not on the Colorado State Supreme Court. He was on the Federal Circuit up there, so I was wrong about that.
Well,
but he was the one who made a ruling a little while ago about states being able to choose their own electors and stuff. This was before he got pulled to the Supreme Court by Trump. And so they baked some of his stuff into that ruling. And so it's going to be interesting to see if he actually says, no, this is what I actually meant, and votes against it, or if he says, no, that's actually what I did meant, and actually tries to uphold it. So that'll be interesting. So...
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either, man. We'll find out here pretty soon.
You got people playing games with this, and I don't know. This is obviously something that if you're the one that got me was the main one. That one was like, how the fuck did you make that decision all on your lonesome?
See, that one actually makes more sense to me. So because your Secretary of State is always a political appointee. And so that one was at least consistent. I was like, okay, all right, so you're playing for Blue Team, got it.
But that's my question is, what is the oversight on the Secretary of State?
The governor, who you can vote out. That's your oversight there.
That's it? That's the only...
Secretary of State, about the only thing that your Secretary of State does in any state is oversee the elections. That's about all they do. So, I mean, we don't, like, open diplomatic negotiations with Texas. And send envoys down there,
Yeah, but they were even playing with that for a while. Remember that? Where it was the California, we will not pay to send our people from the government to other states that are hostile or don't have the same.
I don't remember that.
Oh, it was a joke. It was same stupid shit where it was like they set in their government. They're like, all right, so we will not. If I can't even remember specifically what stupid rules it was, I think it had transgenderism to do with it. But they're like, okay, so we will not send our people to states.
I do remember
that same stupid shit.
Yeah,
like,
I do remember that.
You guys.
Yeah, but I mean, Secretary of State doesn't really do that much. I mean, it's like that, and they register businesses. Yeah, not really that much. And so when I saw the main one, I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense, man. You got a Democrat governor here who's, you know, I don't know. It sounded like she was kind of fighting for political life too. So,
but this is what I'm talking about. Is like the fact that people are taking swipes at this is like the only thing they're doing is essentially trying to force a ruling, I presume.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's what they're trying to do. And so I read a really good argument that was basically like, all right, so the Supreme Court's probably going to shoot all this shit down because individual states don't have the right to fuck with an entire federal election. So, because it's not a state election. And so, and ultimately, there's a kill switch on the entire thing at the back end that I didn't know about. But it's up to Congress to actually accept the electors. And so...
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So remember we had that whole thing. Yeah. And so Congress can fail to certify that state's delegates at the end.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
And actually, their individual electors can do that too.
Correct. So, well, and I mean, Colorado GOP already said that they'd do a caucus real quick if, Yeah. So... because there's nothing in the state constitution that says that you have to have a primary. So, yeah, it'll get itself sorted out here pretty quickly. And then it's just backfiring on all of them, man, because, I mean, it's jazzing up the people who are kind of in the middle. And so on this one, I was like, no, actually, we have these fucking things called elections. That's good. That's a trial. Good. That's good enough for next fall. So let's just do that. So that's probably what they're going to do. Yeah. It's going to work out that way. So there's just like these last gasps. I mean, like your David Frum crowd and guys like that are realizing that they've lost the plot. So, and all these like little niggly bullshit rules are just not going to actually keep him off the ballot. They're not going to keep him from the White House. So the only way they're going to keep him out of the White House is if they defeat him in the polls. Probably not going to be able to do that with Joe Biden. But we'll see. I don't know, man. Joe Biden's going to get a bump in the polls here in about 3 months once the Republican primaries wrapped up and everybody's like, oh, we got this guy again? Okay.
I don't, but that's the thing. I don't know how anybody at this point, even in the normie crowd, wouldn't be thinking that's a foregone conclusion at this point. I would think that even that's mainstream enough news that must have like come across their radar.
It might. I don't know,
Not
man.
like in 3 minutes, they're like, what? Him?
Hey man, it's soccer moms, white soccer moms who decide the election every single time. They won't make up their minds till next summer. So we'll see. I don't follow too many of them on Twitter, so I don't know where they're at.
You would find it insufferable.
I'm sure I would. They're all on Facebook instead, man. So fuck it.
Right.
I have no idea. I have no insight to Facebook whatsoever. My account has been dormant since 2008. So I have no idea what's going on over there.
Nope, I got it. I totally understand. No, it's not for us, man. It's like it's that side. Let them discuss things how they want. It's not like anything I ever say is going to influence that anyway. So
no, not really.
Yeah, because they're going to see things from a completely different perspective than I will.
Yeah. I don't know. There were a couple other things that happened the last couple of days. So I saw that the Ohio governor shot down a trans band.
He did.
Why did he do that? He's a Republican. I'm curious.
I don't know. It was. There were actually several people that did that.
It kind of piqued my interest. I just didn't really. I didn't have a good source to follow it up with to get his thinking behind that. And one thing that I did see was like, actually, it's a legal argument because the law is not going to hold up. And then a whole bunch of other people just whatever on both sides of it. So I don't know.
Now, of course, if this is me, of course, if I'm in his situation, I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to pass it, and if there's a legal issue, we'll go ahead and let that be dealt with. But I'd rather pass it, first. But as for the reasons why
I
not,
don't know.
he didn't. He gave some kind of answer for it, but I can't remember what it was. I think it was akin to what you were saying. I think it was akin to something along the lines of like it didn't pass my muster for like legality. It's like it's something like that,
Yeah, he's probably a lawyer too, so
and I guess so from that perspective. So if I put you in the position of like governorship, right,
hmm
and if that was your area of expertise, and you saw something come across your desk that you were like, I don't think this is legal, right? Even if it was something that you were politically aligned with, would you sign it, or would you be like, well, as a lawyer, when I look at the letter of this,
I don't know,
I
man.
guess that depends on what you value more, is party versus
I suppose, but
right.
I mean, some of it might be like I don't know what kind of like how the Ohio State legislature breaks down, but if he's got a pretty solid Republican majority, I'd be like, guys, just fucking run it through spell checker a couple more times, send it back, kind of thing. I don't know. So
That's the weird thing.
yeah,
Yeah, he did say something about it, but it was something that was very milk with toast. It was very not definitive. But I remember there was something like that where he said like I
okay,
saw something in there that didn't seem like it would cut or
yeah.
whatever. Because otherwise, I mean, look, there's weird things going on with this shit. That I know today there was the
We got Olympics coming up this year, don't
that was the thing. They said that in Olympics,
we?
trans men, if they're post-op, could participate in the female category. Which,
If they're post-op,
yeah,
ugh, okay.
they said if you're post-op, you can participate in the female category. And dude, I'm sorry, it's like you're gonna have a record number of orbital sockets caved in Olympic boxing this year.
Well, it depends on what sports they go into. I know it's very, very small number.
Well,
So
they specifically boxing is what they were
okay,
talking about.
specifically boxing, yeah.
Yes. Now the one saving grace of that is Olympic boxing is only 4 rounds. So
That's true.
yeah,
That's still not good though, man.
no, it sucks.
Yeah.
It really sucks.
I don't know how much longer that's going to last. We'll see what the IOC does. So with that one, I don't know. So many states have basically, clamped down and say, actually, this is a Title IX violation now.
Okay, explain that one to me because I
So,
don't quite get that. What is the violation? Explain how that ties into Title IX because I think you understand it better than I do.
Title IX is strictly about gender. So everything that stems from it is about that. Is like, goes back to whatever the Higher Education Act of 65 or something like
Right.
that. Basically,
Title IX is like the definition of like separate but equal, right?
yes, yeah, it
Okay.
is. Yeah. So meaning that, you have to offer an equivalent number of female extracurricular activities, specifically limited to women. Okay.
Right.
Regardless of whether it's sports or clubs or whatever. So if you have a men's club, you have to have a women's club. So if you have like, I don't know, a rowing club that's like men only, you have to have a female only rowing club.
And if I recall, the rule on that is basically like if there's not sufficient interest or whatever in that other club.
You murder them both.
Well, I thought the other option was to allow women to participate.
Or you have a substitute club. So like you don't have
Right.
a women's football team, but then you cut your men's volleyball team and they have a volleyball team.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
So,
because
yeah.
if there's just not interest in it, then
Sure,
yeah.
that's fine. But yeah, no, and I mean, so it's kind of like affirmative action. It was a good law when it got enacted. So, because it was really addressing a lot of things. Because if you go before 1965, there is no such thing as women's intercollegiate sports. It does not fucking exist. So
Yeah.
my mom can testify to that. She was like, "Yep." So I went to nursing school. There was no basketball team.
At that school or anywhere. Mom.
Anywhere. Yeah. So I mean, you find them here and there in some of the bigger schools, but it was just because you had that much population, and then on top of it, I mean, we're basically playing on the back court. And like we design our own uniforms and sew them ourselves, kind of thing. And so it did a really good job of actually fixing that. It did a lot to help with women's admission in college, but now women outnumber men in college. Not by as much as people say they do, but they do. There's still quite a bit of separation in certain degree fields. Education, nursing, and then engineering being kind of your polar opposites on those.
Yeah.
So not so much in some of the other STEM stuff. So like, because
Well, mathematics is still dragging.
math is, but biology isn't.
No,
So and
because and actually a lot of that has to do with nursing too.
well, and it has to do with medical school.
Yeah.
More women go to medical school than men do now. So, which is, I don't know, that's great. So, um, what else? So, but it's gotten a little bit bloated since then because, Title IX, as programs expand, you have to find an equivalent program on the other side. Most schools have found a pretty good balance in that. So, yeah, but, so if you're letting men who have not fully transitioned into women's sports, there are some arguments, and I think Michigan made this argument a while back. It was like, well, basically, I was like, okay, so we're giving a spot to a guy. Okay, that's a violation of Title IX, the principle behind Title IX. And so it was like, well, where's your cut line? When does this person actually become a guy, a woman?
Yeah.
And of course, that's just got to be litigated out, man. That's still going to take another decade to sort out. Um, you know,
Yeah, and it's not. You're right. It's not that it's, oh well, it's this because I say so. No, clearly
right.
we have not come to any kind of real consensus on this.
No, not yet. And so I don't know. It's probably getting closer than it was, say, like 2 years ago. Um, but yeah, it still has to be litigated out, and not just in the courts, but also in the realm of public opinion. So because, um, well, I just to put it lightly, that I think there's some people on that side who overplayed their hand on that one, and then yeah, if you see some orbital sockets get caved in on Olympic primetime TV, then yeah, that's not going to go very well. So, or if you get to the point in time where the swim team is all trans dudes, so or
Well, I
whatever,
mean,
male to female, yeah, M
dude,
to F,
yeah, I mean, like just
nobody's going to watch that. So
well, this is the tough part too. Is you're absolutely right because part of this is like so. I know that one of the arenas that's been hit hardest about this is cycling, right?
cycling's particularly nasty. So I've watched. Who's the guy from Skeptic? Michael Shermer for years, and he was a huge organizer of cycling events for many, many years. And he's been fighting this one about 3 or 4 years now because who was the lady who got that started?
Oh,
Oh, this is like almost 10 years ago now.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can't pull it from
She was a
memory
good
yet.
buddy of his. So,
Yeah, yeah. Um,
yeah, no, cycling's got problems. Cycling's always had problems though, man. So
well, it does, and okay. So I guess that would be the question. Why does cycling have problems? Honestly,
it's it's a sport that requires peak physical condition. Okay, and then it's definitely it's one of these sports where there is one have and 9,000 have-nots.
yeah.
So there's your problem, right? It's kind of like YouTube streamers, So you get a couple guys at the very, very top of the field that get very rich off of it, and then everybody else is basically like, well, I have to be at work on Monday.
Well, okay. Well,
So that's part of it. There's no, like, professional cycling doesn't have a circuit, okay, where you can support yourself in a living off it. Like even minor league ball, okay, yeah, you might have to pick up a couple shifts or do a little bit of door dashing, but most of your money you make it off baseball. So in cycling, it's not like that. This is from what I understand. I used to know a professional cyclist. He was a chef out here at the bar.
oh, okay.
He was
Yeah,
a great
yeah.
dude, great dude. But he was like, you can't make money off it. He's like, it's you have to save your. He said he compared it to mountain climbing. He's like, you're not gonna make any fucking money mountain climbing. You're gonna spend a shitload of money doing it until eventually you get to the point in time where people want you to help them mountain climb, and then you make money at it,
Makes sense.
and that's
Yeah,
it. And
yeah,
he's like, that's the
yeah.
only way you make money off of it. And he said cycling was kind of the same way. So he's like, there's only so many prizes, and you gotta do a lot of fucking work, and it's time intensive too, because it's not like you can just work out for 20 minutes, okay, and
Oh
keep
no,
in shape.
no.
No. You're doing this for hours and hours and hours and hours. So anyway, that's my little insight that I know about that. Beyond that, I'm ignorant of it.
Well, the
So,
other thing is you're absolutely right. Is the other component of this is those hours and hours and hours that you spend. Like if you actually look at the leaderboards of like cycling, right? They're close,
oh, they're really
right?
close.
It's
Seconds.
usually
Yeah.
usually not like people minutes behind or some shit. There are some people who will be, right, just to show you the strength of the top field, right? But you're talking about something where it's like, all right, it takes this much intense work for this much, and let the record show that I have my fingers very close to each other.
Very close,
right?
Almost no daylight.
For those in the audience, the thing is, if you have things that are this close, you guys are all training the same. That is why at the point where people go back to the Lance Armstrong shit, they're like, why would, like, of course there's going to be PEDs in this, because it's
everybody's
that
fucking taking
competitive.
Yeah, there were only a handful of guys who weren't, and they were the heroes of the story later on. So everybody was.
Because if you're getting whooped by a country amount, nobody cares.
No, nobody cares.
Yeah. Nobody cares. But yeah, when it's that competitive, and so when you come to something like this, and you say like, all right, well, you who was, I don't know, 200 in men's are now number 1 in women's. How did that happen?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, because that's the same reason those guys were taking PEDs.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Where is it? It's in Paris this year, isn't it? That might be interesting. Is it in Paris? I think it is. Yeah, and then it's coming back here.
You're right. I think you're right.
It's coming back to
been
LA.
A while since it's been in the States, but yeah, I think
Atlanta.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or no, I guess the Winter Olympics was Salt Lake City. I remember that. It's 2002. I was working for an airline at the time.
Yeah, it would be tough for me to climb it back, but yeah, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right.
I was working for an airline at the time, and I remember this because we lost Apollo on his skates. And he showed up in my office, and he had just won a medal with them. Yeah, and it wasn't even that far away.
No, you're right.
No, it wasn't. Yeah. It's like, wait a minute, I got to fly to Dallas to get here. Yeah. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah. So these are things that they're going to force these decisions, and this is the thing about this that makes me laugh is, like, from being somebody that was part of every fun culture until trans people fucked it up. I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that, well, I do, but I mean in terms of before the boards got invaded by this, and then there were like certain aspects of communication were always like they became verboten immediately, and you had to accept certain facts as truth, otherwise you're getting banned. The thing that at the time there was so many people arguing like, why are you putting everything on this hypothetical that is never going to happen, right? And then it's
I don't follow. What do you mean?
So people used to argue specifically about the unfairness, in sports, and the counter argument would be like, what's it to you? This is never going to happen, right?
What is never going to happen?
Trans women are never going to get into men's sports or into women's sports. They always used to say this. That was
okay, yeah.
Right? There were a couple,
and then it did happen
all the time now, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know how much it happens. Is it like really that prolific? I don't know. I haven't seen any of it in D2, that's for sure. So, well, maybe it is going on. I don't know. So,
right,
well, I would know about that if that was happening somewhere locally. So, yeah, I haven't seen it. Because I don't like how many people out of 100. So if you're a competitive swimmer as a dude and you're constantly ranked in the bottom 100, and you decide, okay, well, I want to win this more than I ever want to have, like normal sex again. That's pretty fucking hard. So I think that would be a really small percentage of people who would be willing to take that leap just for a shot at like being number one in a record book somewhere that nobody's actually going to look at again. So
yeah, but that's the problem, is you have already stepped into a mindset that you and I are not going to see
Oh yeah, I don't know
at
anything
all,
about
right?
that.
Like,
Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
you and I have never been so competitive.
That's true. That's true.
Right, where that would even come into play, where it's like, what do you mean I got to do 2-a-days for football? It's like,
I was thinking more like once a week. You know, I got a little time on Friday. You know,
Coach, I got asthma.
I got asthma.
So we, number one, we don't see that on that level already, to the point where you could readjust basically your sense of perspective based on how badly people want to win.
yeah,
Right?
okay, you're right. It's not a mentality I understand, and honestly, it's one that I've never really understood. So the only few times I've been thoroughly competitive in my life were bad times in my life.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
Right. Things that I had no business caring that much about.
correct. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about it, right, if you think about, let's talk about bad competitive. Let's talk about like when a friend puts his fist through your wall because he lost at a video game, right? Again,
This
like,
speaks to larger problems than the fact that you're not competitive.
this is my question,
Yeah.
right? Is like, obviously, and again, part of like mental training and other things over time have taught me like, well, this doesn't matter, right? Have fun. But at the same point, like, if having fun is giving somebody the best that I have to get their best, I'm like, all right, well, I understand that too.
Sure.
Right? But the frustration where it comes out so far, it's like, I got to put my hand through a wall of your house, right? Is
not my house.
you do what you want in your house. It's like,
Right, yeah.
it's like, if you want to lift that controller over your head and beat it on the fireplace, make sure it's your fireplace, right?
Right, yeah.
But don't do that here. But yeah, so I can see it in just
Sure.
the like basic sense, and then multiply that times 100 because everyone's watching, right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I endorse this. I
No, I
would
understand.
point to,
Yeah.
there's probably something fundamentally misguided from your history that's
Possibly. I mean, that'd be reading into, a book that, is not for me. so to
painting with
speak. Yeah.
way too broad a brush. Yes,
Right.
yes.
I don't know, man. So it's certainly something that I have difficulty empathizing with. So
You know what? I got it. I can
Yeah.
understand it, but I can't empathize with it.
Yeah,
I got you.
yeah.
I got you. Right. Because I mean, that's the other thing, is that's the tough part, is especially when you come into things that have leagues that benefit from your competitive element, right?
Sure.
It's the thing they used to talk about with the NFL, and again, this is perfectly valid, right? Is you have X amount of people who are talented enough to be here, and it's not many, right?
No.
And you profit by basically these people being in a state of essentially walking the line between normal life and pure gladiatorial combat. And suddenly you turn around and say, like, I can't believe this guy smacked his girlfriend around. It's like, well, yeah, I don't condone that, but you guys are sort of fostering this here too, right? I can't tell you how many times you all have looked the other way because you're like, well, we need him for this league.
Oh,
we
yeah.
need him.
Yep.
We need the most competitive. It's like, you guys walk a contradiction, a hypocrisy daily, right? And do you think it's okay? It's always the part that gets me is you have these incidents, you have these teams let these people play, you don't take a hardline stance to this, but then you take it out on the fans and start, like, every commercial is going to be about domestic violence during the game. You're like, bitch, you guys are the ones
I don't
egging
think
this
that's
on.
the NFL putting that out.
Oh,
there like
no,
that.
well, dude,
I think you got some advocacy groups out there that realize where their target audience may be.
they're getting checks from the NFL.
They're getting
I
checks.
promise
Yeah,
you
I'm
that.
sure. Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, probably in some form of
If you're
public
telling me-
outreach, or
yeah.
either that or they've been forced to, through lawsuits and stuff over the years. I don't know. So yeah, that's all far too nuanced for me to fully understand. I was watching football all day today, man. The ads are so bad. So
I didn't even think about it. What was on today? Who played?
everybody played today.
Oh shit. Oh,
Today
okay.
was like football gasm, you know. So
There is such a thing.
yeah, so there's no more Monday night games. We only had one game yesterday. Denver got eliminated today.
Who they
So
play?
they played. Who the fuck were they playing? They were playing the Chargers today, I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
You're
they
right.
beat the
You're right.
Chargers, okay, but KC won their game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they lost the division and they are so far out of the running for the wild card that I think they're cooked. William will correct me on that later, but
He'd be right to do so.
I was watching the end of the game when they were going over the complicated flowchart logic of that.
Oh, that.
And then yeah,
Yeah, that's right. Will explained it, but I'm still, I don't know. It's just like seeing.
yeah. Yeah, the other team, KC lost. Actually, KC was playing Cincinnati, and Cincinnati choked
Wait, no,
hard.
the Broncos won today.
They did win today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
against
said
the
they lost, but-
Chargers.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
So they couldn't go anywhere if they didn't win today. So they did win today, but at the same point in time, Kansas City beat the Bengals.
Ah, okay,
And
right.
so they
right.
take the division now. I think they've got it locked. So
And the rest of the people in that division are so underwater,
thoroughly
basically,
awful.
that
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
not.
It doesn't. It's
Yeah.
irrelevant. And so Casey's going.
A very gimped out Casey, I might say.
Pretty
This
much.
is not-
Yeah.
This is not a championship caliber team. It looks
No.
like.
No, but we got one more week of regular season, and it's on to the post. So,
Okay.
and then we get to go on break for a little while till baseball starts.
You know what? That's fine.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you watch basketball and shit like that, so
Not so much about. I'm way
hockey,
more into hockey.
yeah.
Will is absolutely the basketball guy.
that's right. Summer is his tough time because it's just baseball, right? Yeah. There's like 2 months in there where he's fucked.
More or less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I thought. Yeah. Um. No. No, we'll get into it here a little bit. I always like the postseason and football. I did not really get into postseason baseball this year, although I did watch. I watched until the Orioles got knocked out. So they had a pretty good run going, but then they got slaughtered in 1 week. So I think they got tipped over, like completely shut out. Yeah, they did. So after having putting up a really good regular season, I was like, okay, fine.
Well, my problem is I know what my issue with baseball is. Okay, baseball for me right now doesn't have enough release valves, right? For me, right? Because I know that my interest in baseball is going to be contingent upon how are the Red Sox doing,
Sure.
right? Then it's going to be how are the Rockies doing, which is always lousy, right? So I don't,
Lately, yeah.
so I don't have that like backup anchor to get me back into it. I don't have a third team to carry
Oh.
my interests, right? Because I think people, some people like eventually when they can default to like, well, yes, the Astros are always going to be there, or
Right, yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I don't know, man. My taste in baseball changed. I mean, I still have my solid two guys at the top that I always watch. But I'll watch Boston anytime they're on. So I'll watch the Orioles. Look,
Yeah,
I'll watch
I
the
don't love
Rays
any-
when they're on.
Yeah, I don't
So,
love for any of those teams.
Yeah, no, I'll watch them. AL, that's pretty good coverage over there. But then the NL, well, I'll watch the Athletics too if they're on. Although they're moving now, aren't they?
Are they going to Las Vegas too?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I don't know if
I
that's
think you're
next fall or
right.
if that's
Yeah.
they got another year. I can't remember. So, but I used to watch them. If they move to Vegas, I'll stop watching them. But then NL, I'll watch just about anybody in NL West. I'll always watch the Dodgers if they're on. So I like the Dodgers, even though they beat the shit out of the Rockies every time they meet.
That's the thing. I don't like the Dodgers. I don't like.
I don't mind them.
yeah,
There are way more baseball teams that I like than I don't like. So the NFL is kind of the opposite. There's a lot of teams where they're just, I won't watch this. I can't stand these guys. Their fans are assholes. So
They are.
yeah, just can't do it, man. So
Well, yeah, the NFL is tough for me because for years the absolute reign of terror by the NFC East in terms of like, oh, it's a Sunday night, well, you get an NFC East.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's a Monday night, you get an NFC
No, it's
East.
Thanksgiving, you get 2 of them. You don't
So yeah, Thanksgiving, get 2 of them.
Thanks.
And then you say, oh, well, what sort of priceless AFC exhibition do you have for us this week on Thursday? And it's like, well, so you have the Jaguars.
Yeah.
And you have whoever's at the bottom of the AFC Central.
Got it. I think the Thursday night games have been in prime this year, haven't they?
Yeah.
Fucking A. I hate,
Give them away.
God damn, I hate watching live TV on Prime. It is so janky at my house. It is awful, man.
Right.
And it's like, okay, so I'm curious if Prime is actually dishing out the commercials on that one. Okay, because you get the same fucking commercial to open up every single commercial segment.
Oh,
so I was
right.
I think you guys are tinkering with this, man, because I'm not seeing enough Peyton Manning on these things. So, I'm seeing a whole bunch of things for Jack Reacher and stuff like that, going on here. So I'm pretty sure you guys are putting your thumb on the scale a little bit. So
almost certainly, of course.
Certainly,
yes. And look, it's the same thing. Again, in a couple of weeks here, right? They turn all over to full ads and all of their shit on Prime, unless you
what? Oh yeah,
unless you pay their extortion fee to keep it ad free, which I absolutely will not do.
I won't either. I just don't use it that much. I mean, YouTube Red is like everything that you find out there now. You can basically find it on YouTube. And then what's the other one that you used? Was it, you told me about it.
What?
Where you can find old TV shows.
Oh, well, there is a section on Prime that has that.
I don't know. It wasn't on Prime. It was on something else.
Voodoo?
Was it Tubi or something?
I don't know about Tubi.
Freevee or something like that. I can't remember.
You know what? Okay, that is a thing. I don't really use it, but I know of it.
Yeah.
Voodoo is where I go if I want to rent a movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been watching too many movies lately. I watched this series, a couple things. I went back to YouTube, man. So I was like, I'll find other shit to watch over there.
No, it's fine.
That and just like normal ass TV. I've been watching that lately too.
Bro, it is weird, with the we joked about it the other day that the streaming supernova whereupon no, I get it, because all of that circulating gas into cable where all of us were like, this is ridiculous. It's like, I don't watch any of this shit. And you're sitting there, you're like, all right, a significant portion of hydrogen had bonded into helium, and the core was getting heavy, so it exploded.
Right. Yeah.
And so somewhere out there on the outside, when people were like, wait, I gotta pay for Peacock, I gotta pay for
Paramount Plus. What the fuck, man?
I was using Paramount Plus for it because Star Trek was on there.
Yeah, and I still want to go see that fucking South Park mini movie, but I'm like, I'm not paying for this.
No, of course not.
Yeah, it's like, no, it'll show up somewhere eventually for free. So yeah, and so I don't need to be that up to speed on shit right now. I will watch what the Lord giveth.
Well, and that was the funny thing. Is that's what you're seeing. Like, all right, so now Hulu, with all of its contracts, has now been swept into Disney, right?
Right.
And Warner Brothers Discovery is merging with Paramount Plus, right?
Okay.
So those exploded balls of gases are starting to come back together.
Right, we got a two-sun system.
Yeah. And now what's interesting is that cable, right? Because after the supernova, this is the thing that people forget here, is like, once hydrogen forms into helium and it gets too dense and it explodes, it happens again with the next two elements, right? So it's not the same. It is not as though they're going to circle back in. It's change, right?
Yeah.
So there will be a consolidation of things. So, eventually I'm going to find a planet that does have enough of the crap on it that I'm willing to spend $8.99 a month for.
It has enough helium on it. Let's get some helium mines and some iron mines going. Yeah.
That's correct. There will be a planet that has eventually sucked up enough, so it will like it'll be a package somewhere where it's like, all right, so Amazon Prime comes with Discovery, Warner, and something else, and I'll say that I'll pay $8.99 for, right? But as of right now, I'm stuck in two positions. Like I can look at like basic bitch ass cable, which no man, I don't want that because you're looking at the thing that's going to start you at $100 a month. Right, I'm like, fuck you and fuck that. I'm not spending that.
I mean, I pay for that with YouTube TV right now. So,
well,
yeah, I can't remember what YouTube TV is. YouTube TV is like 70 or something like that.
It's like 70, you know, and
but it's basically basic cable,
right?
So, you know, it's got all the discoveries and the well, those might change. So, if those get pulled off YouTube TV, then I'll have to flush that and go back to like my rabbit ears, so I can get my local news. So
right, and this is the thing, and like you look at that fucking mess, and then you realize that people were striking for like 7 months for a bigger piece of this pie, and they're like, guys, people don't want to pay. Like, are you nuts? This is. And places.
You're paying for a deck chair on the Titanic. You're renting a deck chair on the Titanic. So
and places like Netflix were like, so here is so here are your names. Okay, now before we announce anything, we want you to let you know that we've contacted law enforcement. Okay, and so we just want you to know that before we explain to you our new password sharing policy, right? And so you know when they're cracking down on the things, because people like I get it, when we had a decent thing going where it's like, I bought this, I give it to you. It was like it was old T-Mobile's friends and family, right? It was like I gotta pick my 5 faves, and they all have,
everybody gets access to the pirate server.
Well, you did it the complete other way too, where it was like,
oh well, that's a legit. I mean, that thing's got a Jolly Roger. So, that's what Plex is for.
Yeah.
So
Plex argues it's for different things. I don't believe them.
It's not. It's like saying air's not for breathing. Like, well, some of it, no, but you know.
Well, I mean, we use some of it.
That's what we all do with it.
Yeah. Yes, but what about the majority of it? Wasn't that the legal argument that Napster tried?
Oh, I can't remember.
I think you told me about that once. It was
and there used to be a case study that I used to teach you on that ages ago. So the funny thing is, a lot of those case studies are so fucking old and stinky now that people are like, "What are Napster?" And it's like, you know what? Don't worry about it. Just pick a different one. So, you know, it's fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's like, what is Kodak? It's like, oh, God, don't even worry about it, man. So, I might as well have you, like, write about the British East India Company. You know, as far as relevant as that is, you know.
Well, that just goes into the grand list of the categories is companies that had it all and made bad decisions.
Yeah, there's tons of
them. That's Blockbuster. Yeah, that's
Blockbuster. Kodak, GE in some respects. And they lived through it, but not the same.
Garmin, Tom, things that should have just been pushing things to the next level. It's like I think this is gonna last in the car forever. People will never do this on the
right.
phone.
Yeah, exactly. So, Studebaker.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good list. That's a good list of. There's some other companies that were fucking invincible and they lost everything. And I'm trying to remember.
There haven't been that many. I mean, most of them turn into something else after a while. Or they divest themselves a large chunk of their business and just focus on one thing. So
well, for a while there wasn't, during a significant, it wasn't Trans World Airlines. It was super
never
heavy
big,
hitter.
No, it was never as big as Eastern or Pan Am. So,
okay.
It was just more famous because Howard Hughes in Hollywood. So that's about it.
Okay.
So, but no, Pan Am was always the big dog. And then they lost everything.
Yeah.
Wait, but they didn't lose it because of that. They lost it because of deregulation. So, just like TWA and Eastern, they were never able to, like, adjust. United was like, rip out all the good seats and put in shit. So, and, stop serving Pueblo. And Grand Junction. Yeah. So they actually lived through it. Well, and they only survived in the long run by merging with Continental. So, you know.
Oh, that's true, huh? Yeah.
Yep. Who did Delta gobbled up Northwest, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they did. Oh,
When? Maybe 10 years ago?
oh no, this was a while ago. This wasn't too much longer after you and I were at the
Really?
airport. Yeah. Northwest did not make it too much longer after you and I left.
Well, didn't Northwest take it on the chin for... Like, if I recall, they had a couple of bad incidents that did not sit too well.
I don't remember, man.
But
All I
this
remember
was
is
a
there was
long
just too
time
many
ago.
airlines. So yeah, too many airlines, too much redundancy in the system. So you need to get it down where there's like 5 or 6 really good ones. So then you have a healthy industry.
And you have
So
to, like, some hungry guys kind of
you have a couple
attacking
hungry
at the
guys,
corners.
yeah,
Yeah.
nipping on the edges and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So then you're in pretty good shape. So if you have 2, that's too few. If you have 10, that's too many. So there's a sweet spot in there somewhere.
Business is wild.
Business is pretty predictable, man. Yeah. So, well, you're just talking about it with cable. If you have 2, that's too few. So they'll implode.
Well,
Go supernova. Yeah.
Well, that was it. Well, we had the 4, right?
For what?
We had the 4 cable companies.
4 cable companies?
Yeah, so you had basically, what eventually turned into Comcast, right? You had Cox, you had,
Oh, you're talking about old landline cable. Yeah.
well, I mean, cable, what
Cable,
they
cable.
called
Yeah.
it.
I thought you were
cable.
talking about content. So,
Oh, no. But yeah, I think there were 4. I think it was Cox, I think it was Comcast, and
yeah, but they had basically monopolies based upon the infrastructure that they
Oh, yeah.
had. They were kind of like railroads, man. So, there's only 4 because they own the shit. So,
Yeah.
and they'll charge you until somebody else figures out a better way to helicopter containers onto your fucking, factory. So, but nobody's figured that out. So. For railroads, yeah. But for what was it with cable? It was the last mile was always the
That was
problem.
always the phrase, yeah.
It was the
Yeah.
last mile. That was the problem. Yeah. Oh, well, and same thing with cell phone carriers. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's still quite a few, I guess. But they've always got some like up and comers.
well, okay.
But they just rent out space on other people's towers, right?
Well, that's the thing is there are still some. Again, this was we went through that phase where, yeah, there were a lot of like hydrogen atoms spinning, right? And so the big dogs were the guys that either had a place in the original market space, right? So AT&T and Sprint,
Right.
those guys. Like you and I, it's like we don't know about like there were like U.S. Cellular and so many little carriers are out there, right? And so those that didn't get scooped up, right, are in a place that's so small, right? Oh, excuse me, that was disgusting. But there were a few places that are small enough in like corridors of Wyoming, so that they only work.
Altel. Yeah.
Shit, no, Altel was considered. There are places out there that have like 5 towers, right?
Right.
And all they do is their whole goal is to basically just charge roaming, right?
Oh yeah, so you're going down the I-25 or whatever, you get roaming charges.
But even still, that's not too many because people
No.
they're like, well, this doesn't work because all this does is it cause people to call in and get pissed every time.
Right.
So, of the few places that didn't sell, yeah, those guys have been swept up. They're what's going on here? I don't think there's going to be a new explosion
No.
in carriers right now. And since T-Mobile, they were part of Deutsche Telekom. They had the backing to be able to. Sure. Well, I mean that's the thing is for the longest time they were Suncom and VoiceStream and stuff like that.
Right.
I'm saying names that you haven't heard in years. I guarantee
Yeah, it's
you.
been a while. I remember VoiceStream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember. There were a couple other.
My wife's first phone was VoiceStream. Come to think of it.
So was mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so they've sort of sorted things out, and frankly, the last of it is Skyward. That's being taken care of right now.
Yeah. We'll see how
That's
that keeps going,
gonna
man.
Settle the
Yeah. Um, I haven't looked back into that in a little while to see exactly how far along they're coming with that. Because there's like 3 companies doing that too.
Hmm.
It's not just SpaceX. Um, I can't remember the other two though, but yeah, he's not the only one doing that.
He's not.
No, he's not. Um,
I know Bezos' joint, the blue, whatever it
Blue
is
Origin,
yeah,
yeah.
is doing something in that realm too. But
I was reading a story about him the other day. Well, not him, but Blue Origin and how they're designing. So, like, Musk is building this rocket that's supposed to go, like, from launch pad to launch pad. So, or I guess Blue Origin, which people, like, don't hear that much about because they don't publish shit. So, but they're actually, like, doing the space station kind of thing. So,
mm,
where they want to do a bunch of little rocket launches and actually do all the construction work in space or
oh, so
something.
space docks
Space docks.
essentially.
Yeah, and actually building these cylinders that spin like fucking 2001 Space Odyssey
Oh
to
yeah.
actually create artificial gravity so people can stay in space for years. So, because apparently if you don't do that, you become useless. Functionally useless after about a year.
Buddy, okay, talk to me about your left arm. Talk to me about.
Yeah, exactly.
You should know about this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. But I mean, yeah, I was reading all this stuff the other day about like interplanetary travel and things like that, and it is fucking lethal. So it will kill you. So the radiation alone, so will basically turn you into a Hiroshima survivor after 2 years. So, and it's like, and we want to send people to Mars. I don't know if this is actually that good idea, unless you guys get around all the engineering on this. So we'll see.
It's a tough one because, all right, so in my brain, okay, now this is, keep in mind, this is from a person that's never bungee jumped. There's no part of me that, all right, yes, I've engaged in some thrill-seeking behavior, but not on the lines of anybody that would be considered like, wow, that guy lives on the edge. No, not at all, right? But to me, there's something where I would look at Mars and say, why, right? I would look at this and say, what could you possibly have to gain by venturing to this place and like why the hell would you want to live here, right?
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, yeah, but like you're gonna get some like a thin crust of just adventurous dudes,
that's it.
and that's
Is
about it. So
well, but it's those adventurous dudes that will either find something or they won't find something.
yeah.
And
But the whole idea that we go there to bring rocks back is ridiculous. So, I mean, okay. I mean, the one thing that you would do is go there just to live there and then figure out how to live there better, I guess. I don't know, but like anything else, I mean, how much gold can you put on a fucking Elon Musk rocket and bring it back before it crashes? I guess it's probably about 10 pounds. So, what the tolerances that thing might have. I have no idea, man.
it's a good question. I do not know.
I don't know
That's-
either.
Because the question is, all right, so, again, for me, as a person who, would look at this kind of business venture, I'd say, like, show me where this becomes profitable. But I would argue that you don't know because it's not being done.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm just not the person to say, like, oh, let's risk it.
Yeah.
Here, let me open up my file and find my dossier of people who were smart but didn't do well in school because they got that attitude.
Yeah.
And guys that can just fix things in space. No, I wouldn't do that. I would never be the person to take that risk. But
No.
somebody's got it. So somebody wants to. Let me
There
put
are
it that way.
there are
Somebody
there are
wants to.
there are definitely people who want to.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't know. I think it's a good way to eliminate a whole bunch of tech bros at the same time.
I know what you're saying. I know.
Like, well, if we ship them off in batches,
No, bro. Okay, so the thing is, all right. I thought you were meant it as like a way to basically eradicate some wealth. And I could see that in terms
I don't
of...
want to eradicate any wealth, man. I'd have no problem with wealth. So,
Well, I
yeah.
mean, like, you know, when you take a look at this and say, like, all right, so if somebody finds some kind of, like, profitability in Mars travel, right, and you look and see, like, a whole bunch of people that basically jump in here like it's 1997 with the internet, and you have people, like, dump a whole bunch of money into it for shit that goes nowhere,
Yeah.
right? You're like, all right, well, you spent some money,
Yeah.
right? It didn't go anywhere. It's good for people to spend. It's okay. And if it's so much, if it eradicates some money like people spent on NFTs or whatever, it's like, all right, whatever. That's fine.
Yeah, I forgot about those.
That's fine. Everybody did.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah,
monkeys aren't worth nothing. So
all right.
all right.
I get the concept of it. You couldn't have convinced me to buy in, but
Oh no.
but that's sort of where I'm at. Is there needs to be people who they're going to find something, you know, useful with this. I hope.
Yeah, they probably will, man. You know, I don't know though, man. There's so much like. So sci-fi is good for one thing. It actually gets people to think about shit like that.
Sure.
Yeah, that's good. But then, like, there's so much that bleeds over into that where it's like the same kind of thinking. You know, it's like, oh, we're going to the new world. We're gonna find spice there. You know, kind of thing.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
well, probably not if you think about this in some respects, because, you know, I mean, as long as we've actually kind of probed the usefulness and the utility of the periodic table of elements. Okay, so are we gonna find really weird shit out there? That'd be kind of interesting, maybe.
New
You never
elements?
know. Yeah.
No.
Oh, that well. I don't know, man. People say yes, people say no about that. I don't know enough about it to be able to actually form an opinion on it. Well, and the same thing's true with, like, can you actually travel faster than the speed of light? I have seen so many takes on that by people who are way fucking smarter than me and use words that I don't understand.
Yeah, but eventually, right. So after they explain it, usually they're smart enough to turn around and say, like, so picture a balloon.
Right, yeah. Think about a water slide. You know, we're gonna do it in some really kind of like campy Bill Nye kind of way. Yeah,
And it goes from Denver all the way down to Florida.
yeah,
Pretend this could happen.
exactly.
Starting at 10,000 feet. You know, yeah.
Oh, William's not here. I should talk about UFOs next time he's here.
Why, do you know something?
No, I don't know anything. I was doing that the last couple of days. Because I did mine down quite a bit of the paranormal shit. So, to the point in time where I was seeing the same things over again. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to give Bigfoot a no. I don't think it's out there. So, and I did watch a lot of videos on it. So, I was interested for a little while. I don't know why, because I've never really because yeah, you should have found one like fucking underneath somebody's
I'm telling you.
now. Yeah. If we're good at something here in America, it's hitting things with our cars. We would have got one. Somebody would have got one by now.
I'm telling you, like, on one of those long drives, and again, you guys made the good point. You're like, well, this Wyoming is not there's no trees there, you moron. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. But yeah, I guarantee you, like, because I'm not just talking about the parts of Oregon and Washington in the big cities. There are huge sections of those states where it's just long roads through woods, right?
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, one dude was watching fucking like he's supposed to be driving, but he's watching Friends on his tablet and
watching Bigfoot videos on his fucking phone.
and he's like, "Oh, that Ross is a funny motherfucker," and then boom, 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 right? And then they're just kind of like, "What did I hit?" And he's just like, you stop and you say like, why does that deer have no antlers and opposable thumbs?
Why is it 9 feet tall?
Yeah. You're telling me that dude wouldn't at least take a picture of it?
Right, yeah. So, yeah, that one, I mined that one down. I did get into the ghost one for a little bit.
Ghosts, this is the thing, is I don't believe in the shit.
Yeah.
But it still makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Like, the problem is now with anything on YouTube, you can't tell how fake it is.
Of course.
So, yeah. And so, I don't know. I saw some things that were kind of like, that's fucking creepy. And then I saw some other things that was like, that's fake as shit. So, and I was like, oh, wait, these are on the same fucking channel. Oh, this doesn't help. So, anyway.
Right.
So I just gave up on that one because you put that in your fucking search feed, it just clogs it for the next 2 days.
Oh, and Pat, I've done so many shows about ghosts and stuff. It's like, this doesn't help.
That stuff is so fakey fake. Yeah. So, I mean, but there is a lot of like security cam footage out there and stuff that's weird. So
I get it. Yeah.
And I was like, that's interesting. Yeah. And it was like, I'd like somebody who knows what they're talking about to like walk me through this, rather than this guy who used to be a fucking plumber, kind of thing. So, and he's like, the first thing he says is, like, subscribe, and smash that bell. I was like, all right, I don't believe you anymore, man. So,
yeah, you're right. It's when they say that, it's like, God, it's like they're hitting the right side of their chest, like it's the fucking like the Legion giving their oath. Like, subscribe, and smash the bell.
Yeah, Hail Caesar. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's... And this is the weird thing about ghost stuff is you never have a more captive audience that wants to believe what you're showing me.
Oh,
I want you to show me the thing that actually blows my hair, my shoulder hair back. Because I'm having on my head.
Waving in the wind, yeah. They're like fucking speed lines, man.
I told my mom that because she was talking about like, I've been joking about her, like coming to see us or like if she wanted to live here. And I was like, look, this is all fine, but there are some things that you just have to accept as life. She's also like, look, I believe in sweatpants. I don't wear sleeves unless it works. She's like, you walk around like that all day. And you just have to get used to that.
Right.
And she's just like disgusted. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to talk to my brother. I'm going to talk to him about the sweatpants lifestyle. I'm going to start talking to my nephew and niece. See if I can get them into the sweatpants lifestyle.
I don't do sweatpants, but I do wear flannels at home.
Look, it's whatever your thing is. Whatever your home comfort thing is.
This time of year, it's flannels. The rest of the year, it's gym shorts. So
there you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, to back on point, I want to see that ghost thing that, to me, like, uncontroversially, right? It's just that thing that gets me.
There's a couple that I was like, that's fucking weird. So, like, watching dudes get hit by cars and just walking right through it. So, on security camera footage, I was like, if that's real, that's convincing. So, some of the other ones is like, well, there's a shadow in the back, and we actually have to, like, you can see a couple pixels move. It's like, no. So, I did see this one where this cat was freaked out. So, and it kept getting hissed at. So,
yeah,
I was like, that's weird. As someone who owns 2 of those things, I know they do weird shit from time to time, but it's usually not that pronounced. So, maybe your cat is on cocaine. I don't know. So, but that's fucking weird. So, and these other ones where, like, they're in, like, they set up cameras in, like, old schools and stuff like that. And then you just, like, you're watching it and all these locker doors open at once. It's like, that's fucking weird. It's like, that'd be a really cool effect if you did that mechanically. So, and I can't be convinced that you didn't. So, but if you didn't, then that's pretty convincing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but I mean, like your like skeptic guard is up so fucking high on that shit. Because there's people out there, they just really desperately want this to be true. So, in some respects. And I was running the same thing with aliens too. So there are people out there who are just absolutely desperate, and I mean fucking like I will do anything to actually try and convince you that they're not lunatics. So on this stuff. So
I agree.
So that being said, I did see a couple things that were kind of interesting on that one too, but we'll wait till William's back.
Hold on to it because I mean, again, like
I know he likes that stuff. So.
He does, and again, it's from the same perspective. It's like I would love for that to be true, and
I don't know. I find that one to be scary, man. So, just knowing what I know about, like, I don't know. It's the same thing as, like, the conquistadors showing up in like Mazatlan, or something. It's like, what kind of bugs did you guys bring with you? We just kind of did that. We're kind of over it at the moment. Can you come back in like 10 years?
Right.
Once we figure out like exactly who's going to make the decision about whether it's masks on or masks off today.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because we're not quite there yet.
It's like, are you catching our COVID or are you catching space COVID?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's which way is it? Well, the thing is, like,
space COVID.
You want to write that?
Space COVID.
Well, this is the tricky thing. You mentioned this about sci-fi and speculative fiction, right? There's two things that go along with it where, I hate to say it, but science fiction in many ways creates a sense of entitlement. There's a version of looking at this and you say, like, all right, well, if we can imagine it, why isn't it there? Right?
Oh, yeah.
It's something where you hold this to a societal standard, and it's, number one, it is a good question to ask, right? So when they talk about, and they're absolutely right, if you, again, YouTube is just chock full of these, I'm sure you've watched some, where it's like, this is a list of 50 Star Trek technologies that came true to our life.
Oh, yeah, sure, I've seen a lot of those.
Like, okay, well, actually, this all makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, that's the kind of stuff that pisses me off about this kind of things. When they talk about, when people like to look at technology and say, like, there had to be some kind of alien intervention to get smartphones in our things.
Oh, right, yeah. How else would you align the pyramids with perfect north? So I get it. There's tons of things like that.
And that shit pisses me off because, like,
does.
Please don't take away from the accomplishments of mankind, especially when you can track it back and say, well, smartphones, it starts here.
Right.
This person builds this.
Yes.
Then they put a calculator and a corny-ass wristwatch, but they seemed cool, right?
Yep.
Then you track it down, it's like, well, this is 1989. This is a Game Boy, right?
Right, yeah. It all makes sense when you look at it from hindsight.
Yeah. But this whole thing where we'll see in this picture where it looks like this pilgrim is giving an Indian an iPhone. It's like, no, man.
Oh, yeah. Well, these are flying saucers in this Renaissance painting, yeah. So they're the ones who brought us telescopes, and things like that. So actually, no, a guy polished a really nice rock.
I hate that shit so much. Like, why do you want this to not be human accomplishment?
I went down that path maybe like a couple months ago, because Joe Rogan used to have these guys on that would like talk about ancient civilizations and things like that. I always thought that was kind of neat.
Sure.
But then they would always go into this weird thing. It was like, well, something terrible happened to these, extremely advanced people and stuff who built, this pile of rocks that is really complicated and stuff. It's like, actually, they might just been really, like, I mean, you think that, like, okay, because we can build the fucking Superdome in a year and a half using, computers and cranes and, precision engineering, using machining tools and stuff like that. All right, but 30 years is a long fucking time, all right? And if you're cutting each one of these blocks perfectly, and it takes, I don't know, 10 days for you to do that, over 30 years, you're going to get quite a few of them done, So, yeah. Yeah, and it was just kind of like, I mean, you just got to think in terms of time scale on some of these things. So, like, I mean, they still have that cathedral in Spain that they've been working on for, 150 or 100 years?
Oh, yeah.
I guess it's getting close to being done. So, but it's also one of those things where it's like, yeah, I mean, you're talking about having 5 generations of people work on this motherfucker, all right? Now you have pyramids, all right, that people work on for 500 years.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. They could probably do some pretty cool things over that period of time. So
with the one thing that they didn't have a shortage of was manpower, and it was an honor to work on these things.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, well, that's all new stuff that's come out and things like, yeah, but these guys, all the Egyptologists are wrong. It's like, okay,
right,
yeah, sure. So we're gonna put this in a contested, not settled, just because they don't agree with your theory. Got it. So
Right. So, I mean, really, it comes down to a couple categories. It's like, well, did man build this? It's like, well, all right, so well over 90% of your evidence goes to this. And then you have a subcategory is like aliens. Then you have
right, yeah,
a subcategory, which is dinosaurs.
dinosaur aliens, Nazi dinosaur aliens, time traveling Nazi dinosaur aliens.
Oh God! And, and that's the other tricky one is time travel. Again, something I would love to believe could be real. There's no fucking possibility.
Well, with our current understanding of physics, so I did the whole like march through all the physicists a while back.
Time dilation
Which
is a
you
thing.
always start with Neil deGrasse Tyson and end with Neil deGrasse Tyson eventually.
More or
like,
less.
You listen
Yeah.
to him one last time, it's like, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. So you just, I mean, there's nobody out there who, I mean, it just doesn't take breaths.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well,
and eventually
yeah.
you get to the point in time you just say, I can't listen to you anymore, bro. So I just can't do it. And I think I get it, but I don't get it because I'm not smart enough to get it the way that you want me to get it. Even using your water slide.
Look, sometimes it goes.
Sometimes it works, yeah, but sometimes it's just, I don't get it.
Bro, I have to make that same argument about like a split infinitives and weird things like that, man. It's just how it goes.
Man, I can't do that.
That's what you have to do sometimes.
Yeah.
This is the thing that's troublesome. Again, I look at this stuff where they're like evidence of time travel, and they'll show you like, all right, well, this person, this Charlie Chaplin video appears to be on an iPhone. I'm like, okay, so where's their cell tower in 19?
Oh yeah, that's true. So yeah,
Who's he talking to?
Using a European plug with this, so, yeah.
And again, it's like, yeah,
Who are you talking to?
it's like, you can't charge that shit here.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing that I do love this, and I wish, again, it's the entitlement of movies where you say, like, all right, well, because they explained it this way, it must be true. And of course, some of the fucking, lunatic writings of Nikolai Tesla and stuff like that. All right, I got it.
Yeah, that guy's had a little resurgence lately, but then you go and read some of his shit, it's like, yeah, he was a lunatic.
Well, dude, there's I don't know what they have to look up here, but there is a section where you look at his writings and his works, and everything seems perfectly normal. And then like there's this section where I don't know what year it is, but there's like you have to get like a team in there to look and see like, so what color mold was growing in his house at that time, because this shit starts to go off the rails.
Yeah.
Where it becomes really speculative, and frankly, if anything, it becomes like market driven. It's like, how can I monetize this?
Yep.
Yeah. And I get it. Like that's part of it. Or he just hit a different phase in his life or whatever. But yeah, again, I want to believe in all this shit. But it's just as soon as I see the piece of it's my agnosticism. It's like, show me something. Show me. It's like, okay, this is cool. When it happens, I'm not gonna poo-poo this, or I'm gonna look at this with the same skepticism. I wanted to believe all of John Titor's writings, but
Who's that?
He was the guy that was posting to, oh God, I can't remember what board it was, but this was the guy who had all these schematics and he had all these drawings and
Is that the future guy?
Yeah,
okay.
Now and he was he's like,
yeah.
I came back here to find a specific computer because of this. And much like
it's a good story.
It's a great story. And if you were there at the time, like, this is so fun.
Well, sure, it's like being there at Orson Welles in the War of the Worlds the first time.
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
Maybe it's a good yarn.
Absolutely,
So, yeah.
And as the things went on, as the actual years passed, and clearly none of this was true, right?
Right. Nostradamus, you are not. So, although that guy's a fraud too, but whatever. Yeah.
Well, we've picked on him before, right?
Many times. A few times, but yeah, he deserves it too. So, future prognostication is a fickle business.
Well,
So,
it's like the same argument when they talk about, the book of Revelations. You're like, well, this happened in like 80, 70 or whatever. You're like, where people
yeah,
have,
it's later. Yeah, it's way later. So, um, I don't know. That's one that I haven't looked into that in a little while. So I did my
biblical
biblical
tradition.
scholarship many years ago. So I'm a little rusty on that. So, but like the historicity of the Bible. So, um, I haven't done that one in a little while. I'm sure YouTube will help me out there.
Well, and frankly, I think you'd be, served to do some of your own research, but
Oh, I have on that one.
but I mean, it's something that, I go into it every few years, and usually it's the things that tend to give me a little shove is the kind of shit that's going on, like Israel, Palestine. It's like, all right, so when does this go back? What are the
Yeah.
passages that support this? What are the traditions? Um,
With the current wow, I didn't know there was that many connections there.
there's not.
Yeah, I didn't think so,
It's,
man. So Israel's kind of a new thing. So
well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, it's new, but it's also, Moses, right?
it
So
also goes way the fuck back.
exactly.
Yeah,
So
but like exact like yeah, but I mean, taking anything in modern context, like modern statecraft, and trying to paste it onto something 2,500 years ago, let alone 4,000 years ago, is fucking impossible. So, these just two things just don't fit. They're not built the same. So,
no,
no.
and likewise, the buzzword of 2023, if we're going to put a bow tie on this, words that I never. There are words and phrases that I hope to never hear again, Patrick. I would love to be able to retire these things in 2023. And my word for
Uh-huh.
2023 to be buried and never spoken again is colonizer.
That one's gonna stick around, but I would absolutely go with that one. The one that I hate is still reckoning. I hate that fucking word.
Reckoning? Who's been saying reckoning?
I
Where
don't
are
know,
you
man.
getting
You
this?
just see it every now and then. Well, there's a reckoning coming, and it's like, no, there's not. It's just the future. You're not going to get retribution out of it, so stop fucking trying.
Oh, okay. So, okay. So,
This was a George Floyd thing back in the day. It was reckoning with police. So, and that has completely not happened. So, because we found out it was fraudulent. So, yeah.
Oh, well, okay. So I would also say that reckoning would also have to do with the quote unquote new civil war.
That's not gonna. How many stupid ass maps have you seen this week? Because I've seen some doozies, man. So
I've seen
some
the
doozy.
the four divisions.
The one
I've
where
seen-
somehow Montana breaks off with fucking Washington, my ass. So yeah. So I seen that one too. Yeah.
I've seen ones where there are patches, like partisan patches within the United States that owe allegiance to like the new California Republic, as to use Fallout terms.
Right. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
And the Institute. I don't know. I
Bear
don't get
in the
yeah.
Institute, in the
Commonwealth.
railroad. Yeah.
So yeah, my word to retire in 2023 is colonizers.
That's a
you
good
say
one.
reckoning.
Reckoning. Yeah, we need to stop that one. I'm almost gonna adopt yours, but I'll keep mine just so it's in the mix. So
No, it's fair because you're right. It does the fact that encompasses the quote unquote new civil war really.
there is not going to be a new Civil War reckoning. Yeah, so it's just
Why?
Because 99% of people in this country don't give a fuck. They just need to be at work on Monday. So
Are you telling me that for certain 99% of people are not going to kill on behalf of Texas against California?
No, they are not. So, and you tell me, all right, so you don't like liberals. Which one are you going to go shoot?
I have to pick
Yeah.
like one.
I don't know. Well, tell me where. Okay, I'm going to load up with ammo. Where am I going?
The brain says that you park it right here and you say, come and get me.
Well, they're not going to come.
Well, then you're not going to shoot anyone.
Right, that's why we're
Unless
not gonna have civil war. They ain't going for your guns. If you're trans, they ain't coming for you. So, you know, I mean, it's just it's ridiculous, man. So, and I mean, I saw that whole thing and it lit up like wildfire, and there's supposed to be like a Civil War movie next year. It'll sell like crazy. Okay, because people just love that Tom Clancy bullshit where we draw new lines on the map. You know?
Oh boy, yeah, okay.
Oh boy, do we love that? You know, because
it's a different kind of speculative fiction.
Reckoning.
Yeah.
You know? So, and I'll get what I want out of it. You know, nobody ever talks about losing the Civil War. So, you know.
Well, they do right now because the controversy, of course, is about look the insurrection crap is a lot of that is being tied into the quote unquote losers of the Civil War the first time around.
Oh my God, that's
but
a
it's
reach.
these two and again the flip side on this is like, yeah, but you had plenty of guys from the Civil War that served in the government.
Oh, you mean the
high positions?
They did, you know. I
would argue that they probably had an eye on them the whole time. But...
Well, they made them swear. Each and every last one of them, they made them swear a pledge, you know, a loyalty oath. So a lot of people got out of that because they you know, after the Civil War, a lot of them, you know, I mean, they weren't going to let Jeff Davis back into the country. They weren't going to let Robert E. Lee run for governor of Virginia, you know. So fair enough. Okay, but Joe Blow, who was, you know, part of the 13th Virginia, you know, and ran for Congress 20 years later, he was okay, just sign a loyalty pledge and you'll be fine. So they did that. But that's Reconstructionist history, man, and that's for specialists only. So that is not for Twitter townies to litigate. You know? So you got to go do the fucking reading. You know?
My understanding, and this is all the stuff that I dug out of some, you know, very hastily written, because they never stopped, notes from Harlow Shidley's class. This was kind of a difficult time and a lot of like fucking eggshells to walk on, and how do we handle this?
It's a historiographical minefield is what it is. So because you can cherry pick any source you want because you'll find it. If you have a viewpoint that you want to uphold, you will find it in that literature somewhere.
Okay, yeah.
So you really have to soak in a lot of shit in order to actually understand that. That's why I stayed the fuck away from it. So American history stops at like 1865, as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't start up again until the Maine blows up. So then it gets easy to understand again. So yeah. So that is a weird part of history that you stay away from if you don't know what you're doing. So, but yeah, they just can't resist. So, you know.
Well, to always paint it as so binary too is like, there's a lot of weird stuff going on.
There's a lot of weird stuff going on back then.
There's a lot of weird stuff going on then. There's a lot of weird stuff going on during the Civil War. There's a lot of like anybody. As time goes on, like, so I look at this and I say, like, well, yes, Abraham Lincoln is a very important figure, but there are people who say, like, he's a controversial figure.
He can be.
And, like, I'm certainly willing to accept that at this point, too. I'm like,
sure.
You know, it's not as black and white as I saw it, like, you know, in 5th grade, where it was like, well, he's a great emancipator, blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, at what cost? And then, you know, people can have debates about it. Now, obviously, for me, I look at this as a net positive, but, you know, at the same time, I can say, like, if you look at certain things being trampled on in a way of, like, attaining your goals, I'm like, oh, all right, well, this could be a problem, too. Right? But, again, it's the greater thing that I'm saying is, like, well, it looks like the more of history I look at is more of a mixed bag. Right?
Oh, the whole thing is.
And drawing binaries from it is pretty...
This is why we shouldn't teach it. So, whatever, man. Because people always trying to weaponize it to their own ends and stuff. And it's just easier to actually understand your own ends rather than looking for evidentiary support to enlist your side. So,
Patrick, let me ask you this. Okay, so you know about this time period here, too. So, I mean, like, do you feel that, especially like with the Nuremberg trials and all this other stuff, do you feel that the efforts of Project Paperclip of bringing these people over to the States, is that something that should be like a black mark on U.S. history? Or
I don't
is it...
think so. So, no. Now, did we have to take Werner von Braun and basically turn him into a Disney hero? No. So, you know, I mean,
Wait a minute. Okay.
well, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the videos of him explaining the Apollo program later on, where he basically looks like Walt Disney, introducing, like, what was it on Sunday nights?
Wonderful World of Disney.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Wonderful World of Werner von Braun and his Nazi rockets. So, but you got to take it in the context too. I mean, it's
Hi, guys.
Soviet time. So, Ed Sputnik it was like the fucking 9/11 of 1953. So, everybody's like, holy shit, they can drop a bomb on me right now. So, we're not realizing it's the size of a goddamn basketball. Right. So, whatever. They didn't know better. So, it's cool. But yeah, no, Project Paperclip, and I mean, there's like the whole, like, I've read books on the beginning of the CIA and stuff like that. The CIA is probably the most fucked up organization in U.S. history in terms of how
It seems awful.
it's never been good at what it's supposed to do. Now, the exception to that is signals intelligence. It's been great at that. So since its inception, but actually, like, engineering plots, they're terrible at it. Not for every one for every 5 they try, 4 of them blow up in their face. So, and the 5th one is like, we took Grenada. Wait,
Now what?
Is there anything else? It's like, no, it's good now. So, okay. So no, they're awful. Whereas, like, I know you're not a big fan of alphabet agencies, but
No,
the FBI is remarkably competent for what they do. They really are. So, if you can take a look at the broad stroke of histories and the thing that they actually spend their time doing, prosecuting federal crimes, they're very good at it.
No. Okay, so the FBI, okay, yes.
They're very, very good at it.
I have a problem with how it's being utilized right now, but that does not mean that is the entire history of the department. And do apologize, but the other thing about this is it has to walk basically a fine line.
It sure does. Yeah.
Between being a police agency and a secret police agency.
Well, that's why they keep it as small as they do. So,
and the whole thing here basically is I can point to you basically every world power, right, has a secret police agency except for this one.
Yes.
Right? Which is when I talk about that, I don't ever want to advocate on behalf of secret police. They have a very efficient way of getting things done, but this is not that place. This is where
it's not constitutional.
We do everything that we can to avoid having one of these, but still having one of these. And that's a difficult line to walk. And,
it is.
And to be fair, we do have alternative versions in the media that are very good at calling out, right, the overstepping boundaries. I wish they were louder. I wish they caught on a little bit more, right? But they do punch those things out.
Yeah.
And they have to.
Right? Yeah. Like sometimes they wind up in documentaries 10 years after the fact. Yes. But people do get wise to it eventually, And then it does a good job of actually preventing that shit from happening again. If there's one thing that we actually do fairly well as a country, it's we do learn from our mistakes a little bit better than other countries do. So that's going to be a controversial statement, but, still at the same point in time, I think it's objectively true if you look at it.
Well, within the range of basically the sine wave that we travel upon. Yep. And again, it's always going to move. The question is how fast you accelerate it and how fast that you basically decelerate this. I mean, you can every sine wave. The bottom line is, look, we've been alive long enough to see these things, right? Yep. You can increase the effectiveness of this by letting it run its course. And a matter of fact, is if you let it sort of the societal sine wave is basically like taking a poop, right? I'm gonna put it to you this way, okay?
Yeah, it is.
You can force it.
Right.
Or you can let it. And if you let it, it will actually have a greater impacting effect over time.
Yeah.
You will not get the results you want immediately,
Right.
which is why you close your eyes and you grunt and you cry, right? And you destroy everything on the way out. Okay, got it. You made a big splash. But ultimately here, it is going to bounce back and counteract a lot of what you do.
Yeah.
So if you just let the ripple actually go through and let it happen, but that's the thing is, all right, so now we need to have, these people in every field of government. We need to this. We're going to take people off the ballot. We're going to do, it's like, no, this shit.
It's not going to work.
No, you can't do this because this will
work.
always counteract that with the pushback.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like 2023, looking back on it in some respects, it is definitely the end of one push on the sine wave.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sorry, man. Lefty YouTube out there, you guys are fucked for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
You guys are fucked.
By purging all the people out of your party that don't agree with you lockstep.
Yeah, Palestine was the thing that forced all the adults out of the room.
You've been bleeding. You've been bleeding
it for a while.
But...
Yeah, but it's done. Bread tube, you guys are done for a bit. You can be loud about it and things like that.
And you'll still play to your crowd.
Yep, play to your crowd, get those likes, comments, and subscribes. But
every normie has abandoned you.
Every normie is done. So, and I'd actually argue that like there's an element of that was probably a little bit longer time in coming, but 2023 has definitely been an accelerationist year for that. The evidence about things like George Floyd over the last year, and people getting tired. I mean, like. The detransition stories, which are fucking gut wrenching. So,
and the fact that you've been burying them,
and then you've been burying them, and
assault, basically going after the people who, people
are getting tired of seeing homeless people on the streets. So cops aren't all bad. Actually, it turned out that most of them are actually really good.
Like 99.
Yeah, like 99.6% of
yes.
them. So I'm sorry, there's not a wave of unionizations going on.
Bro,
your little experiment with OBI blew up.
Okay, that's the other thing. That's the other dangerous part is UBI.
That's what I meant. UBI.
Oh, okay.
UBI blew up. Yeah, COVID checks turned out to be a terrible idea. There's a lot of things that. Yeah, LA is rapidly abandoning all of you guys and calling in the sheriff's department now to clean up our streets. So you guys already lost Seattle. Portland's the only one left, baby.
Oh God, yeah. And
you guys can keep San Francisco, man. We've all given up on it.
and this is
But I mean, and what is it? Texas is getting 3 more seats, and Florida's getting 2, something like that. So yeah.
There's that, and then
those aren't those. I actually saw the demographics on that. You know who's moving out of California?
Who?
Young people. The old fuckers stay because we got our houses, man. We're good. It's the young people are leaving. So they're gonna go have kids in another state. So good luck. So that was an interesting stat. So so 2023, and I mean 2024. If Trump wins, is gonna be a nail in the coffin for that for a while. But it'll also
also galvanize.
It'll give them a lot of gas. It'll give them a lot of gas.
Nothing will galvanize you more than having an enemy.
Well, that's true. And so, but still at the same point in time, I mean, you'll have scared all the normies out. You'll have to get them back. So, and it's that took from 2000. That took from Barack Obama on to build that up. Where the normies were like, yeah, we're cool. So, and here we are.
Lose them so fast.
And now they're all gone. Yeah.
Well, okay, this is another thing where the tilting point to me right now, the tilting point of the Democratic Party, right? This is the thing that is going to be a big issue here, right? Is so you have a certain lockstep of attitudes in certain places, Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, things like this. All right. Now, that being said, when the immigrants are coming to you, and now you have to deal with the repercussions of it.
Yeah.
This is something where the Democrats are going to have to make some certain decisions and say, like, okay, you know what? Now it's time to take this seriously. Why? Because the people in the city are fucking tired of this.
Well, and so this year we're gonna figure out who the Democrats are. So
That's
yeah.
yeah,
So the Democrats either
yeah.
keep the business community or they defect over to Trump. So
Yeah.
if they defect over
Yeah.
that way, because the business community is not a big fan of Donald Trump and his protectionist policies. So no, they're not. So but if the Democrats keep the lefties in, who have completely taken over the mic with this Palestine thing, then your business community, your national security dudes are gonna have to find a new home too, because they're on the wrong side of this Palestine thing as far as left tube is concerned. So the Democrats either have to purge the lefties and float them out on their own, which I hope they do, because I'd like to be a Democrat again. So
It'd be sweet.
It would be sweet, but I can't do it with the fucking the communists that are in there right now.
No,
I can't do
they
it.
shit up my liberal party in the worst way.
They totally did, and it is no longer something that I can support. If they're gonna do this bullshit, so because really, when it comes down to it, man, yeah, if you leave me in the middle and you go too far left, man, okay, well, if I ain't gonna vote for you, I know where my vote's going. I ain't happy about that.
Yeah, and
I'm not happy about that.
I sure as shit don't like. Again, this was the thing that I was talking about with the component of like tearing down the head off that thing in that building, where it's like, no, man, support alternate ideas. Like, just you have to understand. That's the piece of religion-based governance that, of course, I don't get on board, because then you're a fundamentalist society, right? I don't have any room for this. I don't want people sitting there saying, like, we need to be afraid of Satan. It's like, man, fuck Satan. Satan's a punk. Satan is a loser, right?
Yeah, I'm not worried about those guys.
No,
Yeah.
but that's the thing is, I don't, that's the part of the party that, like, I can't get on board with you idiots, right? Just because I've been pushed out of this side doesn't mean that I'm on this side.
Yeah.
Because there are fucking dweebs over here, like, sitting there saying, like...
Well, and that's I'm gonna have I'm having trouble, like aligning myself with people who broke fucking windows. I'm not happy about that either. So,
But that's the thing.
I don't want that lunatic piece of gun tube in my fucking party. So,
I don't want him on my neighborhood.
Yeah, I don't want. I definitely don't want my neighborhood.
No, but that also means that I also don't want those fucking Antifa dorks in my neighborhood either. It's like, just, you guys need to sit there and say, like...
Is Antifa even still a thing?
Yeah.
Does it still have some juice? Because I just haven't seen them around that much.
They're around. Look, you know what they're doing?
What are they doing?
They're hanging out with the Palestine people.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So they're kind of mercenary on that, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Wherever they can go to throw rocks, huh?
Yeah, the same
So,
fucking
got
dorks who are over there, like,
Yeah, you're right.
occupying Wall Street, or the same
shit.
dorks who were...
I actually watched an Occupy Wall Street video like just the other day. It happened to just show up on my feed. It's like 12 years old. It is so quaint now. It is so quaint. It's like, oh, you guys are cute.
No, yeah, this is the crowd of people that yeah, they move from cause to cause, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
kind of like the people who use 3 parentheses around they.
well, what's funny is those people have been around since they have been around.
Right, yeah, that's
right?
true.
It's
Go find them in Leviticus. Yeah.
like, I think Pharaoh was one of those guys.
I think, yeah. Did he pull the patches off his uniform?
All right, that's a good 2023. There we go.
There we go.
All right.
Fuck it, 2024. Here we go.
Yeah. There we go.
I'm
Yeah.
Pat.
I'm Jeffrey.
Hit the button.
Have a good year, guys.
Dude.